Welcome to today's video where we're doing a website lookover of my Freelance Writers Online website. I'm Trudy Rankin from Online Business Liftoff, and I bought the Freelance Writers Online website late last year on Flippa as a project for me to learn about buying and scaling content websites. Now, this site is primarily set up as a newsletter and content site, and while I've done a lot of work on the content and newsletter side of things, the website itself hasn't changed much since I bought it. So I've brought in Jacob Jacobson, founder of Cloudworks, who's worked with a lot of companies across a lot of different industries to help them improve their web presence. And he's here to give his expert feedback on what's working and where improvements can be made. Now today, Jacob's taking a first-time look at this site that I bought to offer some valuable insights into things that I can do quickly that are going to improve the website and hopefully the revenue. So let's get right to it.
Okay, Trudy, we're looking at your site, Freelancer Writers Online, and just taking an opportunity. We've built projects for websites for businesses across many different industries, and we're just taking an opportunity to look at this project today with fresh eyes for the first time and give you some observations of what I'm seeing and noticing, and maybe even some enhancements and opportunities for improvement.
Okay. And I can see right from the beginning that those pop-up ads are getting in the way of the intention of the site. So I have to go back and look at those. The history of this particular site is interesting. One of the experiments that I ran back in late 2023 was to go through the process of buying a website, an existing website, one that somebody else had created and made and bought it as a going concern. And then taking that website and then building it up to the point where it was growing in terms of traffic numbers, email sign up numbers, and monetizing the site. And so this is an experimental project. Once again, it's a way for me to build my skills, but it's also a way to bring in another revenue source. And it's using a platform that I'm not that familiar with. The platform is built on Ghost.io, and I'm used to WordPress. So it's been a little bit of an interesting journey trying to get my head around how this works, because it's essentially a newsletter platform as opposed to a website, but the functionality focuses on being able to send out good newsletters. The way the site's been set up and built is essentially untouched. Take it away and see what we can learn about actually making it better.
Yeah, that's great. That's fascinating to think about the concept of buying a website project from somebody else's going concern and bringing some of this optimization to it to help the performance of the business do even better. So let me close out some of these ad spaces here that I'm seeing. So get ahead with a weekly roundup of the best freelance writing opportunities. I like that you've got something up here. This is interesting. It actually made me think that this was a typo just with the underlining here. I felt like I was in Microsoft Word and it was calling something out. It's like, wait a minute, this is a writing site, but I see that it is probably correct. It's just
It's an ad.
is that an ad for that? Okay, that's what's happening. That's the little search icon as well.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I'm up to speed with that. So as I'm scrolling through here, it looks like Write Well, Live Well. So this is where you would punch in your email address, I imagine, to subscribe. I like the imagery here where it feels like writing. It's a desk. You have your kind of little cute elements that you might find on a desk, but I like that it's got some spaciousness to it for you to get your headline and copy in there. I like the contrast here. For some reason, there's something about this with the form being so fluidly embedded within this hero aspect that I'm almost losing it a little bit. So I wouldn't mind perhaps maybe there's a byline here of get weekly tips of how to use AI in your content, and maybe just try to give us another. It's so immersive and wide and beautiful and nice contrast, but I almost want maybe one more element of a border or a background color or a byline or something to help me indicate, okay, yeah, this is where I take the action. You could make it glow a little bit with a little white drop shadow, see if that helps. It's almost just too smooth. It's almost so integrated that I'm missing it right in front of me. So that might be something to consider, is adding a byline of what you get when you subscribe. I don't know if this lighter blue color is an accent throughout. I'd just be curious to see what it looks like to bring this darker blue from the background forward in that, and somehow just bring this forward a little bit in the layers to feel more prominent. I do like that you've got your different buttons across the top. I like that you've got one, which is your key call to action, accented here to make it more than just a text in the menu navigation, menu text, but actually to have it appear as a button. And I always recommend that if you've got 3 or 4 or 5 items in your menu, that the one on the far right is the most important one and that you basically have it appear as a button. So I think that's great. Coming down again, we've got a mix of ad content. It looks like these are some of the articles. I would just encourage you as you're picking hero images or those, it might be called a featured image for the article. If you use featured images that have text in them, of course, this is always something that can happen is they might get cut off in different areas, or in this case, might look a little bit blurry. And so you might consider on those featured articles, if I was to open the article, I'm going to close this just to stay on the article here. Is this the article here, would you think?
So this is one of the interesting oddities of this thing. It's a newsletter and it looks blank actually. So I've got to go back and check out what's going on there. But you can have blog posts and you can have newsletters. And if you feature something, then it turns up on this page. If you don't feature it, it doesn't show up as being an article. Yeah. So we will often put our newsletters up there so people can see what it was actually sent.
What it's like to subscribe. Yeah. Yeah. I like the 4-minute read. So it tells you how much time that goes into it. I like the width of the article. So it doesn't feel too wide and overwhelming. I like mixing a little bit of emojis and that it's not just blank seas of text, but obviously there's some line breaks and there's some spacing to it, obviously with some ads in between. And I like at the bottom that you've got a author photo and there might be an opportunity to not only have the photo, but a quick little byline about the author, something like that, that appears. I think that can help the article feel even more personal and human. Let's do one other one. Okay. So we've got the images appearing here. Again, we've got the headline, content. And as I'm scrolling down, yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I would consider you've got published by just having a little bit of something, even if it's just name and author since or a number of articles or a little bio. I think that can just be helpful to personalize the author. So obviously with this particular site, it's monetized with ads. So you're having a balancing effect between having ad revenue versus having it be obnoxious or annoying to the point where people aren't using it. And that's a spectrum that you're going to have to balance. It's not something that we typically will deal with our clients who are building a website to promote their business directly, but there is a space for that and things to navigate. I think the other thing that I would consider for me, I think there's probably an opportunity to have either a little divider line between the articles, or maybe there's a little outline here that goes next to the image just to try to visually tell that which article goes with which image. For me in the list view, or maybe just a little more space in between for whatever reason. Oftentimes with blog posts, you'll see even like a card view where it's the image on top and then a short byline below. I think those for me would probably connect a little bit better than these horizontal rows if I was thinking about that. So probably one of the biggest things I could see is it looks like the bulk of the site is these articles that have ads throughout. And so I would just be wanting to think about, are there things that we can do to make these articles stand out a little bit? As I go back to the homepage, again, on this particular one, I would say, how can we enhance the subscribe box? And then how can we think about what the experience is interacting with the ads? And then is there a way that we can make these articles even more compelling from that homepage to get people to click through to them? And I think being selective with the featured images here and maybe considering a layout that shows the blog articles in a little bit different manner. And for me, I'd be considering a 3-column layout with multiple blogs listed, right? And you have the header photo and it's either the author name or date and mostly that headline and photo, maybe a little excerpt. I think that would connect a little bit better. It would be interesting. You could even A/B test that where you have some where the articles are listed like this, others where they're in a grid and see which one gets a little bit more engagement. So I think that's where I would start if I was looking at this project and trying to find ways to optimize it. Obviously, it's a going concern. It's a business that's working and seems like the next step would be trying some of these different aspects and seeing if you could tune up the percentages by enhancing the experiences people are on the page.
Yeah, that's really helpful. It's always a little bit of a balance with this one because it's, like I said, it's built on a platform that I'm not that familiar with. So I've had to learn a lot about it, but it also takes time to do the learning and then the experimenting. And as you said, it's a going concern. So if you screw it up, oh
Yeah.
my. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a slow process, but it is also good to get feedback on what could be improved, then I think I could always reach out to somebody who knows how to use the platform and just say, hey, could you do X, Y, Z, and then just get it fixed that way. So that's been really helpful. Thank you so much for that, Jacob.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me today. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to be bold and brave and throw a few live, real projects up there on the screen and let me give you some feedback that's hopefully gracious and helpful at the same time. And it's just been fun doing that with you.
So I've compiled the list of the improvements that Jacob suggested, and I'll just walk you through them really quickly, just as a wrap up. The first one is for pop-ups, to review and reduce intrusive pop-up ads to make sure they don't interfere with site usability. Second one is in the hero section, make sure that you enhance the subscription box. That was where people put their name in to subscribe. Add in a byline that explains what the user is going to get by subscribing. It could be weekly tips, or it could be AI content insights, whatever it is that you give people. And you want to experiment with design elements like borders, drop shadows, or background colors to make the subscription call to action much more prominent. Third tip is all about navigation. Ensure that the key call to action in the navigation menu is styled as a button and placed on the far right for emphasis. Number 4, and this is all about the article display, you want to improve the layout of articles. You could use a card view, which is a grid layout with a 3-column format for better engagement. You can add header photos, author names, and dates for each article, and maybe consider including short excerpts for what each article has in the layout. You want to add visual separators like divider lines or borders between articles to make it easier to associate articles with their images. Number 5 was with the featured images, make sure that featured images are high quality and free of cropped or blurry text, and avoid placing text on images that might get cut off in different views. Number 6, author details. Include a small author bio and photo at the bottom of articles to help personalize the content. Number 7, balance out the needs for monetization. So basically reassess ad placement if you're running ads to maintain a balance between monetization and user experience. Number 8, content engagement. You want to use A/B testing to look at different article layouts, either horizontal rows versus grid view or whatever, to determine what drives higher engagement with your content. Number 9, in terms of learning the platform that's being used, for me, it's about considering hiring or consulting somebody who's familiar with Ghost.io for technical updates and layout adjustments, but it could be also for you if you're using WordPress or some other platform that you don't really understand. It makes sense to get somebody to give you a hand. So back to Jacob now.
So if anybody wanted to reach out to you and get one of these website lookovers, where would they go?
Absolutely. For your listeners, I think that would be really fun. You can go to getcloudworks.com. You can also email me directly. It's jacob@getcloudworks.com. And my commitment to you is that if one of your listeners shoots me an email, would you do a review for me? And I'd be happy to either hop on a quick Zoom call with you like this, or I can send you a Loom video if that's simpler. And I can just hop on your website. I give you 5 minutes of some expert advice, having done this for many businesses across different industries. Be happy to hop on your website, give you 5 minutes of feedback, some ideas, some insights that you could take. If you're doing it yourself, or if you already have a web professional, you could take that to them. I'd be happy to offer that for your listeners. Shoot me an email and I will give you a Loom video of thoughts and insights on your website.
Fantastic. Great. Fantastic. That was really useful. Thanks, Jacob.
You're so welcome. Thanks for the time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you found this review helpful, please remember to like and subscribe. And in our next lookover, we'll be diving into my Be Your Best UHQ website, which originally started as a place to store a diagnostic tool I created for live workshops. And it's grown since then, but it's time to see what can be improved. So don't miss out.